Hey guys, this is my second ever return. The customer received the system and said that it didn't work at all. Which, not saying that the customer's wrong. I'm just saying it's a little hard to believe that it doesn't work at all. He did note that when he used the Composite Jack, that he pulled it out. So I already know the issue with composite, and that is the fact that it's not grounded. So obviously we're not going to get video from that, but let's go ahead and try video and see how that works. Let's also stick in audio. And pole position 2, because that's the most common Atari 7800 game. And I will need power. And let's see what I get. Nothing at all. Well, I do get audio, so that's something at least. Let's see if a 2600 game will work in the system. Nope, no video, but I do get audio. So, based on the Composite Jack, I'm assuming the issue is video is not grounded. Which is a pretty simple thing to fix, but let's open up the system and find out. Well, there's your issue. Mod board came out of place. That's a pretty simple thing to fix. Let's make sure I have anti-static protection on before I touch it. The fact that it's been jumping things, though, is a little concerning to me. And a couple of the wires did come undone. So let's actually solder those back into place. And then I'll turn the system back on, see if it works after that. So after inspecting the inside of the system a little further, it looks to me like someone has opened this up and kind of messed around with my soldering. I base that on the fact that I don't solder any of these wires to the top of the board. I solder them to the bottom of the board. It's possible I may have done that. Sometimes I'll wire TN9 to the top. But Maria 42 and 43 should always be on the bottom. Plus the fact that the socket mount has a very bent pin. I don't see how that could have happened in shipping. And just so I'm clear, because the customer probably will be watching this. I'm not blaming the customer in any way. I have no way to prove that that the customer did anything to it, so I do have to assume this is all my fault. And we can definitely go about fixing it. Although, on the 2 returns that I've had, both looked like they had been opened and messed around with. So I'm gonna have to start putting void if remove stickers on the inside of the systems. U11 came undone as well. I don't see, that is something that I do not see possible happening in shipping. I don't see how a wire could have come undone like that in shipping. It doesn't happen. These wires are soldered there. But again, not blaming the customer. I want to get that very clear. But we are going to have to resolder these wires, and we are going to have to fix the composite jack. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put that back in the socket. There we go. And we also need to reattach the wire to U11 pin 5, and now that I look at it, it looks like a wire was jumping 2 pins. That could be a big problem. 2 things shorting together is not something that you ever want to happen, ever. There we go. Did I get it? Nope, I didn't get it. Or no, I did. There we go. Everything is reconnected, except for the composite jack. And I apologize for the lopsided nature of the camera. I actually just got a new tripod, and I got it very cheap at a garage sale. Unfortunately, it didn't have the camera. Mount piece for it. So right now, I'm just holding the camera down with some vice grips, which is why it's sort of awkwardly angled there. So I apologize about that. And everything is still there on the composite jack. It's like, it just looks like someone undid the nut around it. Oh man, that is a pain in the ass. Especially with everything else soldered in there. You know what, let's Let's actually disconnect composite for the time being from the jack. And then I can go about getting a nut around it again. So I have a theory. My theory is I'll bet that the nut around the composite jack came loose, and the customer, thinking, "Oh, I'll fix it myself," opened up the system, found that the composite jack, or found that they couldn't get access to the composite jack because I wire things as tightly as possible. And you know what? We're gonna have to pull out the the rubber stopper on the bottom of the system in order to get access to the composite jack. I bet they thought, yeah, I bet they thought, well, no, excuse me. I bet someone thought, I can fix it, I'll do it for you. Well, they found out how tightly it was wired on the inside, and then they realized, oh shit, things came loose, now it doesn't work. And something I would like to make very clear right now is, besides the fact that I'm not accusing the customer or something, I wouldn't ever do that when I have no proof. But if you have problems with the system that I sent you, just send it back to me, please. Please just send it back to me. I'll be happy to fix whatever it is. If it's something minor, especially if it's minor, especially if it's a minor problem, please send it back to me. I'd be happy to fix it, and for minor problems that are my fault, I'll fix it for free. But if you open up the system, there's no way that I can guarantee that any parts inside this system are still working, because most people don't wear anti-static protection, which is a killer. It kills consoles, fries sensitive chips. It does a whole bunch of things. I can't guarantee that the system will still even be salvageable if you open up the system. I need you to send it back to me. So just in the future, if someone's watching this, if you have problems with a system, I'm on it for you. Just send it back to me, please. And I hate doing this, but I don't really have a choice. Let's go ahead and screw it around with my X-Acto knife. Don't like doing this because, well, it dulls my X-Acto knife. That's the only way I'm going to get that screw threaded back through the composite jack. You know what? That's still not tight. Which may have been the entire problem here. It looks like the threads of the nut are a little too big for this jack. Alright, I got our replacement nut, and let me actually angle the camera a little bit better for you, so you can see what I'm doing on the inside here. Yeah, there we go. Getting a nut in this area of the system is very, very hard, which may make you wonder, why do I mount the jacks here? Well, because anywhere else would actually be even harder. So that's why I mount the jacks on the right side of the system. Some mount them on this here, so they're facing downwards. I don't like that, and that's not professional, in my opinion. It doesn't it doesn't look good, and especially with 7800s and 2600s, the shells of these systems are really fragile, really brittle plastic, and so much so that I actually have to use a sanding tip on my Dremel to actually mount these holes, or to drill out these holes. If I use a drill, it just shatters the shell. And I haven't found a way to fix that. If I used step-up drill bits, that might fix it. But I'm not made of money, so I do what I use what I have, and since that works, then I use that. Okay, the composite jack is now, let's zoom out. The composite jack is now solidly connected to the system. I can't turn it from the outside. If I pull on it, it's fine. So good, that's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rubber pad on the bottom, and I'm going to stick it up through this hole. I'll see if you can see that. It goes right up there, right up through here. Grab with my pliers, pull up, I want to be a little careful. So it doesn't go, so I don't rip the rubber. But otherwise, you do have to use some force to get it to rehook there. But yeah, there we go. I just got it back in. And my anti-static protection came undone. Don't know when that happened, but that's not good. Let's go ahead and take composite and solder it back onto the jack. And let's actually angle the wire a bit. and get rid of that fraying. Fraying wire is any engineer's worst nightmare. And let's move it over a bit so I can solder it in. You have to be very careful not to touch the sides of the plastic with your iron, because even touching it slightly will melt the plastic instantaneously. Well, let's see. That is solid, but not solid enough. So let's add solder there. Yeah, that string is actually plastic insulation. Or, excuse me, not plastic, wire insulation. Alright, there we go. Now, set the system back in. You kind of have to do it up like that and then push it down. And there we go. System should be repaired. Let's go ahead and plug it back in and see how it works. Alright, so everything's now intact again. So let's plug in the system. Plug in pole position, and let's do composite and S-video. There we go. Let's do composite on my PVM and S-video on my test LCD. Alright. There we go. Working now. The channel switch should get rid of those vertical scrolling lines. It looks like the color potentiometer needs to be adjusted. Something else, chroma not working on S-video. So we'll have to figure out what the issue is there. And if I adjust this so it's looking at my TVs, based on the way the video looks, I can tell that I accidentally switched around Maria 42 and Maria 43. So I'll switch those around and make sure that the colors are correct. Alright, so I switched around Maria 42 and Maria 43. This is a case where I did just go ahead and solder it to the top of the board, and the reason why is it was just easier for me to do in this situation. Normally I'd put it on the bottom, but it doesn't matter in terms of functionality. That's putting the wires on the bottom is just my preference, but just because I needed this thing working, and since it's fine anyways, let's go ahead and stick in pole position and turn on the system. There we go. So as you can see, Maria 42 and Maria 43 being switched around is what caused the color problems on on video. And now that those are switched, no more color problems, except for the fact that the color potentiometer does need to be adjusted. Let's actually restart the system so I can, yeah. It was like this, it should be blue. So I adjusted the color potentiometer. There we go, that's that. Let's go ahead and try a 2600 game and make sure I get the same results. Turn the TN9 switch on so I get color. And there we go. It works. Alright. So that was a simple fix. Things have just come undone. I just had to re-nut or re-thread a nut through the end of the Composite Jack. But other than that, thanks for watching the video, guys.